Well, I guess it's about time to try out this slouch replicator phone. I was at my friend's house the other day, and I told him that I'd be giving him a phone call on a very special phone. So when it appeared, don't be too surprised, and I'll be at the other end. His name is Mark, and Mark is an artist, a very talented painter. But he also makes sculptures and creates artwork made out of discarded items. You know, like paint drip cans or egg slicers or bottle caps, things like that. He repurposes them. Well, Mark, he lives in a house that's on top of a hill. And his backyard looks over a canyon. So he has a hillside. Well, being the artistic and creative guy Mark is, he couldn't see that barren hillside going away, so he decided he's going to put artwork on his hillside. And he needed a theme, so he decided on the theme of flight. So that's what he did. He built planes and other flight-related items sticking right out of his hillside. It's pretty remarkable. No pun intended. So I was going to give him a call right now to get more information on these pieces that he's created. Mark Baffin.
Hey, Sheriff Stephen J.
So Mark, yeah, you remembered to be on the lookout for the slouch replicator phone. I was hoping you wouldn't forget. So, how you doing?
Well, thank you.
I apologize for the late call. It's been a little busy around here. I haven't called at a bad time, have I?
Oh, no.
That's good. I know it's getting close to your nap time. And could you get a little closer to the phone's mouthpiece? You sound a little distant.
Yeah, gotcha.
He won't admit it, but I think I did catch him during his nap time. So, Mark, say the last time I was up there, you were finishing up some pieces on your hillside. I was wondering if you had a minute, you could tell me how you created the pieces, and maybe tell me a little bit of their historic significance.
Yeah, sure. And I need a break anyway.
Great. Now tell me about the first plane you built on your hillside, how you built it, and what you built it on.
Well, the first one was a 1917 SPAD 13. It was Eddie Rickenbacker's plane, and he was our first American ace during World War I. It started out from a barbecue. My neighbor had put a barbecue out on the street and asked me if I wanted it, and originally I said no, but the more I looked at that barbecue, it looked like the
SPAD 13. Sorry, but I'm just trying to help you out, buddy. So, how big is the one you built?
The one I built is about 3/4 scale. I built it out of 2x2s. I put some 4x8s, fastened them to the hillside to a retaining wall, and did some support underneath of them. And then I put the barbecue out on the end of it and just started going through my scraps and a lot of research, looking at pictures of Eddie Rickenbacker's plane. Then, sure enough, how things happen, I'm driving down the highway and I see a big old canvas tarp that had blown out of a truck, and so that's what I used for the canvas on the wings and the fuselage. Eddie Rickenbacker, he originally was a race car driver, and he wanted to fly. He went to flight school and said, if I don't make it, won't bother you anymore, but he basically went on his own, and he was an excellent pilot. He was our first ace. That was in 1917.
And what exactly is an ace?
When you shoot down 5 planes or more.
Now, I know you've put a pilot in that plane.
Yes, that's made out of paper, wire, and a lot of duct tape and paint. But that's Eddie Rickenbacker. I also made bombs out of water bottles. Originally, they would take the bombs up with them and just drop them out of the cockpit onto the enemy, or where he was hoping that they would land. But before they had bombs, they'd actually drop rocks down on the enemy.
After the SPAD 13, what was the next plane that you built on your hillside?
The next one would be the B25, built 1939, 1940. It's made out of scrap lumber, sheet metal, some plywood. It has 2 real airplane tires. The front tire was given to me from a junkyard, but the tire was about 14 inches high, And I believe the front tire on a B25 was somewhere like 29 to 30 inches. So when I found the front tire, I had to build the airplane according to the same scale as that front wheel, the nose wheel. Originally, the front of the airplane was up against the hillside because I had made a track. So I built the front of the airplane up on the hillside, and I did the cockpit, the seats, the straps, the oxygen tanks, the levers. Then directly behind that, I did the seat for the top turret gunner and the bomb bay, and put the bombs in there. And then when I had that part done, I pushed it forward out on the rails and then secured it, and then continued on with the rest of the fuselage. And then I started building the wings.
What'd you make the wings and bombs out of?
They're 2x4s, and then I cut some plywood out to the shape, and then over the plywood I put sheet metal. The bombs are actually soda bottles. The top turret is some type of plastic bowl. It was all scraps, finding the right part so you create the illusion that you're looking at the real thing.
And what role did the B-25 play in history?
Well, that was our first bomber before we had the B-17 built, and that's all we had. It was a 2-engine bomber. I believe the wingspan was about 67 feet. The one I built here is about 22 feet, so it's probably a third of the size. And actually, this is a tribute to Doolittle's Raiders.
Doolittle's Raiders being a group of volunteer airmen and 16 B-25s, led by Colonel Jimmy Doolittle, that flew from the aircraft carrier the USS Hornet on April 18, 1942, to bomb military targets on the island of Japan. This was in response to the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor, which brought the U.S. into World War II. That happened 4 months earlier. Now, you built one more plane on your hillside. What can you tell me about that one?
The third one I built was the X15, which was retired in 1968. However, the importance of that airplane was it was the fastest manned jet built. It went 4,520 miles an hour, and it went 67 miles right up to the edge of space. Neil Armstrong was actually the second test pilot for that. It was instrumental in the space race because a year after it was retired in 1969, we landed a man on the moon.
Where'd you get the scrap metal to build it?
The neighbor down the street brought me some scrap lumber, and he had 2 fenders from a Ford Ranger, and he said, well, could you use these? And I didn't want to just take the wood and not take that. But in the process of bringing the wood to the backyard, I took the 2 fenders and propped them up against the fence upside down. And when I looked at them, to me it looked like the cockpit of a jet airplane. Also, he gave me the side panels to the truck. So the X15 was built out of his 2 fenders and the side panels. So I still had about 12 feet to go, because she's actually about 32 feet in length, and the original X15 was about 50 feet in length. So she's about 3/4 of the size, but I did the cockpit, all the controls, the ejection seat, the parachute, the breathing apparatuses. It's all in there. I did the mid-thruster exhaust. Even though it's all covered up with sheet metal, I know it's there because I found a dryer motor, and it looked just like the turbine of a jet, so that went in there. But detail is what's important when you're building.
Well, that'll do it for the planes that you've built on your hillside, but you also have a helicopter. What's the story behind that?
The AH-1 Cobra is the latest thing that I created. AH-1 Cobra is an attack helicopter, and this was built as a tribute to the Marines and my best friend's son-in-law, Major J. Barr. And it was a tribute to all the men and women that are in our armed forces and Air Corps. It has Hellfire missiles and Zuni rockets, and there's 8 missiles. Helicopters made out of scrap lumber, 2x2s, sheet metal, PVC pipe for the rockets and the missiles. The rocket housing is made out of some stovepipes. The ends of the rockets are the bottoms of plastic bottles.
What about the prop? What's the prop made out of?
Some fence material.
And how do you paint these pieces of artwork?
It's regular paint. Spray painting is the easiest for me.
Now, moving right along, you also have a ball or a spear out there. It has tentacles sticking out of it. What exactly is that?
Oh, the Sputnik. That was the first orbiting satellite ever. That was in 1957. That was built by the Russians, and it made about 1,400 orbits, and it was up in space for 92 days. But that led to the space race. That's when everything started happening. You gotta figure that was 1957. That was a major achievement. The original is 23 inches in diameter. This one is 22 inches in diameter. And I was down the street and I saw this old barbecue in the backyard of my friend's house, and I yelled Sputnik, and he just started laughing, and he goes, wow, there's not too many people that even know what the Sputnik is. He goes, I want you to take it. So I brought it home, did my research, and created the Sputnik.
The first satellite in space.
Yes.
Below the Sputnik, there's another piece of art you've created that's also related to flight. What is it? Who is the spaceman next to it? And what gave you the idea to build it?
That's the lunar module. A lunar module with Neil Armstrong standing there saluting the American flag. He's built to scale to the lunar module because the lunar module that I built is 17 and a half feet, so I had to build it all according to scale. That's why he's the height that he is. Somebody gave me 4 satellite dishes, and as soon as I saw the satellite dishes, I went, oh, I have the feet to the lunar module, and the rest was history.
What's the gold foil around the bottom of this piece made out of?
It's tin foil, but I spray painted it gold. On the original lunar module, they put that on there to shield from the rays from the sun.
Well, Mark, you have done an incredible job creating these aircraft pieces on your hillside. And looking down upon all of them is a piece that has absolutely nothing to do with flight at all. It comes straight out of a Beatles cartoon. You've created the Yellow Submarine. You even have the Beatles looking out the windows. Whatever inspired you to build the Yellow Submarine?
I found a barbecue, and I saw the barbecue in the alleyway when I went to the store, and I said, I have to have it.
Another barbecue? Man, if I lived in that guy's neighborhood and my barbecue went missing, I know exactly the first place I would go looking for it, though it may not be recognizable.
It was made out of a barbecue, some cardboard tubing and sheet metal, and PVC piping, and then the conning tower was a trash can.
Well, that's very interesting how you put all these pieces together, and I want to thank you for taking the time to share your hillside information with me. And maybe we'll even have a barbecue. Cook something on one of them. All right. Well, buddy, thanks again, and it was great talking to you.
Well, nice talking to you, too.
Very talented man.